I told him this.
All right, there we go. David, welcome back. Another exciting day here at World Impact News. How are you today?
Here we go again, Sean. It's a new day. It's a new opportunity. This is January 30th, which is Thursday in the year 2025. Each moment, I don't know. I don't want to use the word orgasm, but for me, Sean, this whole thing is just coming together, not just in my life, but everyone that's coming along with this journey with us specifically, but there's other people that have similar purpose and objectives and projects that to really for humanity and conscious. It's not a monopoly that way. I mean, intelligence. We already talked about it. Intelligence for everybody is equal, and our soul is equal, and unconditional. The word unconditional is equal. Love is a little bit of a different word because it's the unconditional love, which gives us the confidence that we can go on a show like this. And in fact, right now today we're waiting for a gentleman that just came into my life maybe about 6 months or so ago. I don't have a real close, like I wouldn't say like close, intimate relationship. His name is Adriano Fromer, and he is the director of the Quantum Academy, which is I don't know if it's actually a physical school or whether what they do are these events and workshops. I don't know if they do festivals, but I know that it's very expensive. It's like a Joe Dispenza, event with maybe 1,000 people is what the target usually is, about 900,000 people. Even Mel's event down in Cape Canaveral is coming up in March. Is
Hmm.
We talked about Mel and your relationship with that and the Staying Alive retreat wellness center and how all of that all comes together and Jason Sharuk, Jason and Dr. Sandra Rose Michael and Dan Winter. And so, the infrastructure is what I'm basically saying. We're already quantum because we're working individually, but we understand that when we come together, it's not like I'm your superior. It's not a superior or inferior. There's no subordination. There's no, I don't know. There is a surrender in the sense that our tendency as human beings is to basically kill and then ask, what did I just kill? You know, that's why, I'm saying. I'll tell you, like even on the island here, it's kind of we like to add a lot of humor and like real personalized stories about our own journeys, in particular mine, because I'm on this subtropical island off the coast of Sao Paulo. We've talked about it different episodes. Don't get so much into what I'm doing on a daily basis. It's not really. It's all recorded in such, so I don't really try to over promote. But when I first came here, I was like most people from it's not I grew up on an island, so I was fortunate. you know I always had that like natural tendency to go into nature and pray and stuff and cry and do whatever where people couldn't see me get lost. I used to try to get lost actually, and it was I never did. Actually, I came close one time in Sao Paulo, and it was scary when I actually realized, and I shook my head and I said, I'm actually lost. And then Sean, I was like, what do I do next? I didn't know. I was in Sao Paulo in the middle of the night, like 4 o'clock in the morning. The guy I was with dished me and left and had everything, my luggage, briefcase, laptop, pretty. I'm not saying classified information, but sensitive, company information. I was in Brazil doing business at the time, and the guy dashed me. But luckily, I knew where he lived, and I didn't know his address because I didn't have my cell phone in anything. I didn't have any way of remembering even the guy's name. I mean, normally we rely on this type of digital technology to for retrieval.
Hmm.
Like even with Adriano coming on, like I said, I don't know Adriano very well, but he has a public presence. He has a persona. He's representing Amit Goswami, who is, for people that's listening, and I think I mentioned Sean Amit's name to you before. Do you know Amit Goswami?
I don't.
So in a nutshell, Amit is a quantum scientist and a philosopher, social architect. Call him just a holistic, like wellness person. Believes in all of the methods of intelligence. And so Adriano, through the Quantum Academy, represents Amit Goswami in Latin America, and specifically here in Brazil. And this area where I am is an attraction because it's between Sao Paulo and Rio. So you get both sides. So when people come here and do business, if they're going to make the investment to be physical here, it's easy for like us, for example, in our local community, we can do matchmaking services, even all the way to the point if you want to meet somebody and actually as in a like whatever country, American specifically, because we're both American, but you could marry somebody, like fall in love type of marry, not just, a prearranged, date or something. You arrange the date.
Mhm.
You set the parameters on what you use your imagination, and we animate that, and so it basically materializes the person of your dreams, literally. I mean, that's the power, Sean, of what we're talking about. And the things a little bit scary for a lot of people, even like Adriano, that's going to be talking here in the next few minutes coming on. When I had Amit Goswami on my podcast, the Power of Islands podcast, back I think in I don't know, in September. I think it was, I don't know which day, but I did a whole month of podcasts for September every day for 4 hours from 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time to 8 o'clock p.m. And so I was covering that 4 hours myself and doing it like what I'm doing with you right now. So that was a real lesson for me to really persevere and to kind of keep like a flow, because you can't make it. You can't force it. What we're talking about, it's like Adriano coming on right now, takes a lot of trust and confidence. When we're starting to talk about this pioneering and kind of out of the box and kind of crazy, foolish, and stuff that other people don't realize, like you, Sean, this because you're working. I think Adriano tries to talk about the technology, and you're actually doing it, and so that's why this call is so important. So if we are able to work like a co-host, see, Adriano has his conference coming after Mel's conference in Cape Canaveral. So there's a sequence where, and I've mapped out all of this. I went online and spent 2 days and got all of the quantum summits and AI summits for the whole year that have been advertising. And usually when you do an event like this, like a scientific research event, you're going to take a year or so. And most of the time, these summits have been done by government entities, which is scary as hell. I mean, we just all know what's going on with the World Health Organization. I mean, this is real life, real time, like right now, what's happening. And now other countries are coming on a line because obviously now all the stories are really breaking out with the who's behind the curtain, and the veil is getting thinner to the point of total transparency. It doesn't exist. So, and that's where we're at in perfect health. When I ask people, how do you feel 1 to 10? And a lot of people in my world, I'm 60 years old, so trust me, there's aches and pains and stress that's still pain bodies and things that we would talk about, and Joe Dispenza specifically, and even Dr. Bruce Lipton and other people talk about that pain body and the trauma, how it gets into our skeletals, and we can't shake it off. It'd be nice if we were like really like a dog or other animals.
Mhm.
They just shake that off. They could get driven over by a car. I saw a dog one time literally get driven over by a car in the tire well spin. Okay. I don't know about you, but and the dog got right up and ran away and lived. Didn't like crawl in the woods and die or anything. It's just like, if we're flexible and then we get like really afraid, actually what we do is dematerialize for like that moment, and we pass through that. We don't die. We kind of fake like we died, and we kind of clip that out like really quick in our lives. It's interesting. I don't know about yourself. Let me ask, have you ever had any like near death experience or out of the body, like close to calling it quits?
I've had a lot. I've had a lot. Like in the double digits, like in like a lot of double digits. I've been through a lot of near death stuff, a lot. And you know what's interesting is that I've always come to the realization that you could be at death's doorstep, but if the door doesn't open, guess what? You're still here. So figure it out and move forward. But
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, but
right.
it does, it's interesting because when you've been that close so many times, it does change a lot. It changes a lot on your perspective, how you look at life and how you deal with certain things. And it really sets a bar for what is really important, because look, am I still here? Yeah, okay. Number one, I'm still in the fight, as I would say, or I'm still here, I'm still moving around. Let's prioritize exactly how relevant and how serious or whatever things are. And then it puts everything into a very different perspective. So, for me, and then, when you push through a lot of that, and you've been through a lot, and you've dealt with a lot of that, and gone through those types of experiences, um, it does have sort of a, I don't know, it's interesting to think about it sometimes, but that's that's um, that's definitely a very they're interesting experiences. I think you build and you grow and you develop a little bit of uh, well, mental fortitude, tenacity, a lot of different things. But in some cases, and I don't really want to get too much in detail on it because it gets into a whole like rabbit hole. But in some cases, like I was in several really serious motorcycle accidents, and accidents where literally like one time I got hit, flipped off the front of the motorcycle, was going through an intersection, got my finger right in the area there where the windshield and the hood of the car, and I was literally holding on the hood as we were going through the intersection to keep myself from rolling off the front of the car and getting hit. And by the time the car finally stopped, I rolled off the front and literally came within inches of being crushed in between that and the street light. Um, One time I had was coming through an intersection on a bike, got hit, flipped. I was able to like flip myself because I've got a background in various different things. But as I was going up this way, I pulled my arm around, flipped, and landed on my feet. Had I not done that and landed on my head, I would have been dead. And so many other things that we could share for another time, another place. But yes, many,
Yeah.
many, many times, like a lot, like a lot.
Right. Yeah. So for the younger crowd that's going to be listening and watching here, this time capsule for today's episode, we can refer to, the longevity is interesting. The longer we live, as the whole idea is maintain that longevity, Sean, through these technologies that eventually, like you're already talking about, some governments are already saying that this is going to be their standard healthcare plan. So, I mean, obviously saving trillions of dollars or whatever the currency is, a lot of money. But there's really not a savings. There's just a redirection of the asset utilization. And that's something that, we talked about with the Venus project. And I've mentioned Dr. Jack Fresco in the work that he did before he just passed away a couple of years ago in Venus, uh, Florida, just outside of Orlando. It's a futuristic city, and for people that don't know about it, I'm not going to get into it all today, but it does have the quantum connection with like what Adriano is going to be coming on and talking about the totality, the holistics, the unity, the singularity is what Amit Goswami talks about in also a specific area. He talks in reference to Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. and so believes that we all have archetypes. We all have like a soul contract that we're not all like philanthropists, martyrs, or professors, teachers, or whatever, spiritual people, shaman, priests, or mechanics, or plumbers, or the beach cleaner, or whatever. I mean, it's really but in our purpose, in our passion, and our meaning, that we get, each of us have that. Some people are that I know, Sean, in that come here to the island specifically, they don't have that anchor. They just don't. And even in, we've mentioned like Soli, and in the wonderful angelic stuff. But I'm being honest. That's what this is all about. And So Lee will come on and she'll say, that's right. This is, it's not a judgment. It's a feeling of, she, I made a proposal basically, and she said that, right now is not really the time. That because of this and that, there was no anchor. I don't really know who I am right now. And, that's what I'm talking about, having an anchor. And this is a person that anchors other people. And so what I'm finding, in my travels right now, Sean, maybe other people eventually will chime in about this, but the gatekeepers, we mentioned the gate. When you're in an accident like you are, you're going to go to the gate, and if you don't go through, you're going back. You might be an amputee, you might be in a wheelchair, whatever. I mean, and we talked about all of that. But the gatekeepers I'm talking about are the people that we usually delegate in our businesses, like enterprises. As you start getting employees, you get different departments, and now you're the chief executive officer, and you're more of a planning, strategic, dealing with attorneys in court. Hopefully not, but the world we live in. So that's the whole point, is for us to help each other, really, that in unity and singularity.
We got
Because
Adriano
with that,
jumping on with us.
okay, that's what we're here for. The Quantum Academy in Sao Paulo. Adriano Fromer, I believe, is the correct pronunciation. I believe Adriano does speak English, but at the same time, if he does need to go ahead and talk in Portuguese for specific expression, this is unedited, so I'm sure somebody will get benefit from that energy, whatever we're going to be sharing today. So I don't know if Adriano, are you visual? Are you here
Adriano
live
is
with us?
visual and he's on and he's waving to you and giving you the
Yes.
thumbs up.
Hello.
Okay.
How are
All
you
right.
doing? Good?
So
Adriano, how you doing, man?
yeah, I was just going to say that before you got on, Adriano, for the last 20 minutes, we started on the top of the hour like we normally do at 10 Eastern time, or 12 noon here in Sao Paulo. So um, I mentioned, and Sean doesn't really know you. I don't think Sean has taken any moments of time to really do any of this background. It's about a matter of trust, right? It's all trust. It's unconditional, just love and appreciation for the work that we all are doing together in the area of quantum. And I want to let you go ahead. I don't want to take too much time. I know you're very busy. You're planning for a big event coming up where Amit Goswami is a guest, one of your guests
Yeah.
on a regular basis, your representative. And so I mentioned some of that. You can talk. The purpose of this particular show that we're doing here with Sean, the World Impact News Win Network, is to have these 1 hour, 60-minute segments. And a lot of the times they're infomercials, like, or data commercials, call it whatever you want. It would be like an example for you, Adriano, where an accumulation of everything you're doing comes together. Because I know that Amit is active, very active, and I know he's on social media. And you as an organization, your whole group of your whole team is doing a wonderful job. But I don't know if we're really synergizing, if we're really leveraging, not just, I'm not talking about profit like capitalism
Yeah, I
leverage.
know.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about leverage the energy fields that we have and the things that you work with. I believe you're a professor, and you're there in Sao Paulo. I'm just getting to know you. And I said that my relationship really is through Amit Goswami. And that's how I now know that you're here. And we have a festival ourselves coming up in February, coming up in 3 weeks on the 21st of February. So Lucky 21. And it's an 8-day and 7-night festival along the coast here, which was Costa Sul, which goes in
Mhm.
from Bertioga into Boracay at that area of San Sebastian and goes Costa Sul, San Sebastian to Talk Talk. And I'm saying this rapidly. I know that Sean, we spoke a little bit about the location, what have you, but Adriano, I know that you know the beauty of this area, the
Very
Monte
beautiful, very
Atlantic
beautiful. Yeah.
rainforest, the archipelago, everything. Even though we're very close to the populated areas and environmental climate change issues and ocean level rise and coastal erosion and all of these crises with excessive rains and mudslides, potential tsunami waves, now some activity with earthquakes and things like this. So we can carry on, and I'm here to help to facilitate. But this event on the 21st is called the Hibernation Festival, and it's going to be and this is the first year. It's an annual event that we're planning. Sean is trying to do what he can to help, but it's really designed to be a cooperative or solidarity, like open, shared group of people. So there's really no one owner, and basically we're trading and exchanging and all benefiting. For example, even this recording, you and Adam, anybody in the public, you can grab what you're looking for, as long as you're not going to edit it and manipulate it. Go ahead. That's what we want. We need to replicate. We need to facilitate that flow, and through that example, like right now, you Sean and I are getting to know each other in different ways, but it's good that we're here together, three of us, because that's the power. 369, and I'm going to leave it at that. The 369 Tesla, and these are conversations you and Sean maybe go back forth, ask some questions of each other. First, introduce yourself if you don't mind, Adriano. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for asking me to come. I'll try to do in English. Okay, it's a bit rusty, but I can make it. Okay, my name is Adriano Fromer. Okay, I was born in São Paulo, Brazil. I live in São Paulo, Brazil. Unfortunately, so far, São Paulo is so messy. But yeah, so what happens that about 18 years ago, 2000, I'm a book publisher. Okay, so my main business is to publish books. Okay, then 18 years ago, 19 years ago, I published a book called The Physics of the Soul. Okay, it was uniting spirituality and science. The book was written in 2001. I published it in Brazil in 2005. But I had no idea what I was doing. Okay, it was a book written by a guy called Amit Goswami. I didn't know him by then. So I published the book, and synchronicity came. And when I published the book, the movie What the Bleep came out. What the Bleep Do We Know? Okay, and Amit was one of the science that was interviewed and was part of the movie. And then the book started selling a lot, much more than what I expected. My motivation was 100% commercial, financial. Okay, I didn't know what I was doing. Then I saw the book. Okay, no, now that I'm selling it, let's read it. Okay, let's see. I mean, I read it as a publisher, but not as a personal investigation. Then I started reading it. I read, so no, this is a very good, an interesting subject. And then I invited Ami to come to Brazil to launch his second book. His first book, the second one we published, which is Self-Aware Universe. Very good book. And then when he said, okay, I'll come to Brazil, I looked at my assistant and said, what do we do now? I invited him, he said yes. So I didn't know what to do. And then we started organizing a lot of events and workshops and lectures and so on. It was very successful. It was a surprise for me. I never had done that before. And then with him, I started getting into the realm of spirituality, self-knowledge, self-improvement, and consciousness. And I started my journey in a very high profile, because I started my journey with Amit Goswami as a friend and as I would say, a guide or a teacher, more of a teacher. And then times go, and we decided to found together a school that could really help to propagate the quantum world of view, which is different from quantum physics. Quantum physics is a science, regular science. Anyone, you go to the university, you study quantum physics, you build computer with quantum mechanics, and this is a very traditional, even though very weird, but very traditional science. They call new science. But what Amit and other philosophers or mystics or even science do, it's like, okay, quantum physics brings us a message. So what is this message? I mean, what is non-locality? An electron can be at the same time in two different places, to communicate. What does it mean? And then those scientists, they start getting this information, say, oh, there's a connection between what the quantum physics is showing and what the mystics have intuited and learned a lot of since forever, since. So Amit is one of these avant-garde scientists who does that. He's a PhD in in nuclear physics. But then he started the journey, and I started my journey myself. And one of my jobs, and the job that I like the most, maybe the job that I'm most connected to, is to help people to develop themselves, understand them. And we do believe human being can be better than human being is, and we are here to help it. And that's it. With the help of Amit Goswami. Now he lives in India, but he's Indian, but he was radicated in the US and Oregon. He taught lot in Oregon, in the Oregon University. Yeah. I cannot hear you.
So I just David, you're on mute. So you have to unmute yourself. So Adriano, just I saw the name, the Goswami, Amit Goswami, and being that I am big into Vedic history and Vedic knowledge, there was back in the Vedas, there's a lot of literature on the seven Goswamis. I don't know if you're familiar with the seven
No, I
Goswamis.
haven't heard. I didn't know that.
The
Good to
seven
know.
Goswamis were
Really?
like, they were all mystics, and they all had an individual thing that they were very good at. And a lot of them wrote a lot of Vedic literature, and they were alchemists, and they had all these different skill sets. And the seven Goswamis, and I'm not sure exactly the timeline, but they are highly regarded as pushing society and pushing spirituality and pushing all these things forward. And so when I saw Amit Goswami, I'm thinking, okay, one of the Goswamis is back, and he's picking up right now and bringing the torch and bringing us more knowledge and more, more information to help us all become better people. And
Very
so
interesting.
I've spent some time in
First
India, but
time I've heard about that. Yeah.
yeah, but they were called the Seven Goswamis, and they wrote a lot of literature, a lot of books. They were very tied into, I believe it was Lord Chaitanya, but I'm big into a lot of the Vedic and that history. So,
Nice.
and I'm very tied into that lineage, and so I find that absolutely very entertaining to see that we've got a Goswami, a gentleman like Amit, who's out there with a very high knowledge base and a lot of intuitive information that he's just sharing and helping all of us connect the dots and become more spiritual and understand everything around us much better. The whole subject of quantum in itself is very hard to wrap your head around, because it's simultaneously here and separate, or there's no space, does not really have any influence. It's like everything that you do is in a quantum world. It could be a universe away, and in an instant, in a thought, it's connected. There's no that whole thing. Do you want to elaborate or talk a little bit about that and the quantum, and maybe more about the book and kind of what the project is that you're working on?
Okay, so I think, yeah, quantum mechanics is not easy to understand, because what happens that it shows the behavior of reality, so how objects behave. When you see in the quantum world, it doesn't make sense, because we are trained to have a linear, logical way of thinking. This is how we think. We think in space and time. We are here. I mean, it's difficult to imagine a world, a situation where there's no space, no time. It's so out of our regular condition, which is, but what quantum mechanics says is it's that there is there is a realm of reality. There's a realm of reality where there's no space, no time. There's only one thing that exists in this realm of reality, which there's no space, no time, which is possibilities. So this realm is real. It's not manifested. We don't touch it. We don't feel it. It's there. It's there. But the only thing that is there is possibilities. The possibilities and mathematical possibilities. This is important to know. Waves of possibilities. Okay. So when there's an observer, in which case us, when we observe any of those possibilities, we collapse those in actuality. Okay, so our experience is local. Our experience is in time, in space. But because we chose one of the possibilities in this non-local realm, okay, non-local reality. So Amit and other science, what they show, okay, so who actually chooses? So this is a very important question. So if I desire, I don't know if I'm a football soccer supporter, Palmeiras, which is a football team in Brazil, and my brother supports, he is from São Paulo, so we are rivals in this matter. So no matter how I pray, and no matter how he prays and intend and chooses, sometimes Palmeiras will win, sometimes São Paulo will win. Okay, so who chooses that? So what Amit says is we are a vehicle of choosing, but who actually chooses is something called consciousness. With the consciousness is the ground of all being. So this non-local consciousness, which doesn't exist in space and time, but it exists, is the ground of all being. We are all this consciousness. We are all united. We are all the same. The mystics intuited that. If you go to a Vedic meditation of non-dual meditation, you experience this oneness, okay? But what Amit is saying, what he's saying with this quantum worldview, okay, this oneness is mathematical. There's the double slit experiment that shows that there's possibilities outside space and time, the transcendent possibilities, and this consciousness chooses. So our job is to connect ourselves more and more with the movement of consciousness. I don't know if it was complicated, if it was clear, but this is what his theory is all about. Okay, so getting the knowledge, and there's some other stuff. So the quantum principle, non-locality, discontinuity, tangle hierarchy. So those principles, they can be applied in everyday life. So what happens that the traditional scientists, okay, the Newtonian scientists, physicists that see the world in the traditional, the materialist world of view, he will tell us, okay, quantum physics is beautiful, but quantum physics only apply to the micro world. If we go to the micro world, to the micro world, to the subatomic level, if we go to the macro world, those rules doesn't apply to us. So what Amit and other scientists are saying, no, the theory shows that it applies. It's less possible, it's less likely to happen, but not because it's not very probable that it's impossible. So what happens that you learn how to connect to those possibilities and live a world with your consciousness more expanded, with a more like inclusive consciousness than if you are only living in the regular way of thinking of the materialist science worldview. Oof, yeah.
Wow, amazing. I love that.
Okay.
David, you're still on mute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm off now. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. I don't know if you're going to go ahead and comment or where we should go with that, but that was a lot on Adriano, which covers it all, because the everything from 0 to 1. So go ahead, Sean. Where do we go?
First I just have to like let that absorb in. That's the kind of thing, honestly, where you can't listen to it one time and absorb it.
No.
Like that's something that you have to constantly repeat and conceptualize and bring into your thought process because, like you said, Adriano, that's so different than what we're normally taught, right? We're taught everything that's in a physical space is our reality, and just the concept of quantum in itself is hard to wrap your head around. But when you've got 30, 40, 50, 60 years of conceptually thinking of things one way, to restructure that thought process. And, like I said, I'm big into the Vedic. Another really good friend of mine, a Vedic person, calls it the Rudra process, which stands for recognize, understand, demonstrate, realize, actualize. And so first you start assimilating the information, and then you start transforming your thought process. But it's not until it's actualized, where it's literally becoming part of your daily routine, that it actually has value. So initially, the process is what we're doing right here is getting the information out so that you can start processing that and understanding those concepts. But as you start to understand that and keep like replaying it and then start actualizing it and then making it part of your living day-to-day reality. And so that to me is why, this information is so wonderful, because it gives us that expansion of consciousness, thought, and actually spirituality, where it kind of all intermeshes at some point. But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of this channel, is getting people like you on there, and then having David and others that can respond back and add to it and share. For me, although I know I quote know it, you can never hear it and really and understand it at a high. Like there's always room to grow, there's always room to improve, and there's always that tuning in where you tune back into that reality and understand, wow, because in the third dimensional reality it's very hard to get shifted off base, and
Yeah.
sometimes you need to get tuned back in and get back into that reality and understand that with all those possibilities, you need to be focusing on the ones that you want to, and not let them control you, or to get into these tangents. You have to really. And it's interesting because I listen to a lot of manifestation videos, and when you get into these really great mystics, because ultimately once you start getting into manifestation, you really are getting into quantum, and it all sort of intertwines, and it always is about living in the present as if that reality has already transpired, and assuming that possibility, and living as if the possibility is already your reality. And so conceptually we can talk about it and say, wow, that's cool, that's neat. But there comes a point in time where you have to become that. And that
Yeah.
has to be your reality. And when you shift out, catch yourself, shift back in. But that is beautiful. That was a beautiful explanation. And I'm very excited, to have you on today, and represent, anything that you've got going on with your programs. David, I'm going to throw that back to you.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Uh, um, Adriano, this call actually is something that really the takeaway hopefully today is that we can work together to help promote. First, our event is in a timeline like this. The first milestones coming up in February 21st to March 1st. So it's the week right before Carnival. The main activities actually on that weekend is when things start to, you know, during that week, Brazil kind of closes down. You know the culture here more than I know it.
Yeah.
But the point is that when we plot out, I don't know. Let me ask a question. Have you looked at all of the different quantum like summits and conferences and different like AI stuff that's happening in the world over the next this year? Have you done like a research like that to find out and like map out like a timeline and how the
I haven't.
dominoes kind of fall?
No,
You
I
haven't.
haven't. No.
Yeah. Well, one of the things maybe I can add value, not get too deep into it right now, but we can exchange a little bit of that and help each other because it's interesting. If our event is on the 21st of February, and then this other gentleman in Florida is a close friend of Sean, that has a health and wellness center there and talks about quantum, but the quantum financial system and XRP and the cryptocurrency and how that quantum, it involves everything, like you said earlier, Adriano. Quantum is plasma. We talk about that. That's how most of the devices that I know that Sean deals with is in that plasma field. So it's beyond the entanglement. So, but once you come from the plasma and you come and start to go into the gas and then into the liquid and then into the solid, the density, and then you take that expression of consciousness with you. That's what you were saying. It's about carrying that consciousness with us, and that's the awoken, awareness that we have once we're activated. I think you even mentioned the word activation, or somebody here, maybe it was in. We're
Yeah.
doing one of these every day, so. And it's very interesting how everything kind of blends together. Not kind of, it just automatic. It's not my opinion or my
Yeah.
feeling. This event, the idea is in February 21st to hold this 8 days, 7 nights in an annual basis. So we would set up an eco village here on the island. And I've already invested in all the infrastructure and everything to have a small camping area and have these kiosks. So I have an outdoor immersed in the nature festival and have a home base or the base camp here on the island, not to attract everyone here, but the real focus is in front of us. And the 15 beaches, they're all beautiful. So what the idea during that week is to set up a circuit and be able to have like a journalistic group, even volunteers and people that are just starting to learn about how do you do reporting, how do you ask questions in the community, how do you get engaged in empowering the women and children and the grandparents and things like that. So this week is called the Hibernation Festival, and it's either one of two things. You can go deeper into sleep. That's not a problem. We're not saying we're not shaking people awake. Or if you want, you can come out of that sleep, and in a moment you can heal yourself. You can live perfect health. You can have awareness. You can be awake and attentive and clear and not have these cloudy, and also go through all of the mental, emotional stuff that we all know in the trauma and the story and our ego. And so that's this event in the Hibernation Festival will hopefully we're going to be talking with Mel and have him on before the Hibernation Festival, the 21st. That way he can actually get some publicity and promote his beautiful event in Cape Canaveral, just outside of the Space Center there. So, and he's I would say he's more connected than I am, but not Sean, because Sean's connected with him. So that's what's a real pleasure with this, making this connection between you, Adriano, and Sean now, because he offers a lot of technology that you may or may not be aware of, and also Amit. And I know that they're very highly advanced and intelligent people with the Quantum Academy or the Quantum University, and the work he does with Deepak Chopra and and even Joe Dispenza, everybody. Amit is out there. And like I said, I had him on the show, and I'm so grateful that we didn't get a lot of hits or anything, but maybe after like combining like this show and other shows, eventually people are going to go back and say, that was a great interview, for two people that don't know each other, to trust each other like he did with the statue, and his calendar is very busy. It took a little effort, quite honestly, to convince him that it was a good thing in that sense, and kind of remove some of the doubt and fear. But we all go through that. If it was so easy, everything happened, then we wouldn't know what was happening. I mean, we need to go get rejected to have that humbleness, and to be able to just enjoy what we're doing and just be happy that we're here today and alive. So
True.
we are going on 45 minutes or so, Sean. And I want to give Adriano a chance to talk a little bit more about his conference. And maybe now that I mentioned the timeline and how we could go first, and then he could get those reservations, and try to be specific if you can, Adriano, with where you are with reservations, and are you meeting do you have a goal and expectation? Are you there, or do you need a push? And would a media campaign like this help? And those type of things. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And David, so Adriano, I want to save like the last 5 minutes for you to promote the event. And if you have any websites or contact information, I'll put it in here. but I can't let go of the quantum stuff right now because it's so amazing and I love it. And I gotta dig more. So Adriano, as somebody that's really like highly dialed into quantum, tell me what a day in the life of you is like living in the quantum field, how that affects decision making, how it affects your projects. Like I want to get to like ground zero on where this and how this works within a day-to-day lifestyle with somebody like yourself that's really well versed. So maybe we can talk about that for 10 minutes and then spend 5 minutes to promote the event.
Okay. So just to make clear, I am not Amit Goswami. Okay. So he,
But that's good. We want to
no, no,
hear it
I'm
from an
joking, but
everyday
I mean,
person. Right. No, I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, I mean, I'm just joking. I'm just saying that I'm in my learning process, okay? I'm still struggling to, I mean, theoretically, I understand 100%. In experience, I'm on my way. I mean, I'm trying and practicing, but when I see Amit, I can talk about him, a little bit about me, but what I see in him, which is more of an example. So I am an example of someone who is really learning, but learning every day. So, I mean, in my daily life, okay, I'm a businessman in São Paulo, so it's just like I have I'm partner and active in three companies, a publishing house, a consciousness school, and another thing in Rio de Janeiro, which is a blend of art and is an art school, art and creativity school. So I'm extremely busy. I'm not selling this is good. Okay, it's not. Okay, it's absolutely, but so far I have to manage that. Okay. So, but well, I'll go to theory then to experience. So one of the theories that Amit explains, which is really helpful for me and for people, which it says that we have two selves, okay, that they have to work together, the ego and the quantum self. Okay, so the ego and the quantum self. What happens with the scientific worldview or the materialistic worldview is just this: they say, okay, there is no quantum self. All there is ego. So we live all of our time in our ego. So now you see the world how it is. Okay. So ego. But he's a bit of critic. He criticized a little bit. He's very with the traditional spiritual worldview because they didn't understand the ego. They used to say, okay, ego is bad, just kill the ego and let's be only spiritual. Let's be like the ego, the desires of the ego, everything's no, it doesn't make sense. So because they knew it is like sometimes it's very not pleasant. I mean, sometimes the ego can be really, really bad, really mean. I mean, so say, okay, let's forget about that. So what Amit says using quantum worldview said, okay, but there's a dance between the two selves. Okay, you have to sometimes be in your ego, otherwise I mean, you have to be sometimes selfish. Otherwise, you not work enough to make money, but also you have to be like I don't know, I mean the word in English, but you have not to be selfish. You have to be like include everyone. And when you are in those quantum self state, is what is the intuitive state. Okay, so when we have like some experiences which are not our day-to-day experience, we are living this quantum self. So what he says that is he makes a joke. He said is a do process. When you are in your ego, you are doing the do. When you are in the quantum self, you are being the be. So to be a creative person, to live a fulfillment life, you have to do. You have to alternate those two inner states. The ego is important, but the quantum self is important. Work is important, but meditating is important. Like being really tough and sometimes like Jesus was. I mean, Jesus was a really, really confronting person. But sometimes you have to be very loving, very include others. So this is why I try to bring to my life. Okay, sometimes I'm too much of a doer, and I need to be. So I need to step out, meditate, integrate, go to nature, and live this do process. And when I do that, it's not all the time. Sometimes life doesn't allow me to do that. I wish I could live in a place like David lives, in the nature and in the ocean, by the ocean, and with a lot of. Unfortunately, not every day. I live in a big city like São Paulo, but when I can do that, it's so rewarding. It's so good. Even in São Paulo, even in the traffic, when I can be in the traffic. There was one time my my brother, I was in a retreat, 8 days in a silent retreat, meditating the entire day. And then I got back to São Paulo, Eli. I was, expanded. And I saw my brother and talk about spirituality, and he looked at me. He told me, okay, Adriano, it's so easy to be spiritual where you were in the mountains, meditating. I spent 4 months with my mother-in-law living in my home, and I was really like quiet in this period. So I was more spiritual than you say, okay, cannot discuss with you. Okay, so is understanding that spirituality is also you have to bring to your where you are. I mean, you doesn't have to go somewhere to experience something. It's better if you can, of course. So this is what I try to apply in my daily life, and I'm still learning. I'm not successful all the time, but I'll get there. It's a process. Yeah.
I love that. But that is part of the process, right? Is
Yeah.
assimilating the knowledge and then integrating it into your lifestyle, right? And so the
Yeah.
being and the doing and the balance of that and
Mhm.
understanding those concepts and then bringing that meditative state into your daily routine and finding those little pockets and places where the external environment around you doesn't matter. You can still find that space and find, that time where you can still be in that moment. And so I love that, man. And I really appreciate it because, when you're around people like Amit, and I've been around a lot of really like, I hate to call them advanced because technically that's duality, and these people sort of move out of duality. But when
I
you're
call them
around
expanded. I call them expanded.
expanded, that's a great term,
Expanded.
expanded.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very humbling experience. It's a very humbling experience, but it's beautiful in a way too, because you get the vision of where you need to be, right? You understand that there is a lot of places to expand and grow. And that is the beauty of being around these sort of teachers and these mystics, because they really give you insight to where you want to be and where you want to go. And that's really part of the process, as we all do, is to get that knowledge and then figure out how does that relate to me in my world, in my reality, in my day-to-day life. So I really am very grateful for you to share that, because it's a process, right? I mean, you can
Of
get all
course.
that knowledge, but as we were talking about earlier, assimilating it and growing into it and using it to kind of integrate into the lifestyle, and then create that lifestyle where you can be, hopefully someday in the woods and finish the whole thing off in that dream environment, that whatever is your dream, you can achieve that. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. There's one thing I forgot to mention. I'm also an Enneagram teacher. Okay, you know Enneagram? Yeah.
What is
You,
that?
okay. It's a different subject. I didn't want to get into it. Enneagram is just like it's a very old system which shows that there's 9 types of personality, but also shows that there's 9 spiritual path, different spiritual paths. Okay, so if my Enneagram type is different from yours, it means that our way to develop ourselves, it is kind of different. It's not, even if we meditate, we look for different things. Even if we open our heart, we are looking for different things. And when I teach, it doesn't matter now, but I am a type 7. I have my own way, my own development. When I teach it looks like I am an enlightened person. Okay, when I say then I look at me and say, oh, I'm not doing what I'm telling people to do. I'm not, I'm teaching them because I have all the knowledge. But when I look at myself, oh, I'm not doing that. So sometimes when you teach, you are teaching to yourself. So
Yes.
this is, and it's, I mean, the theory is easy to learn. You read books, you you go to courses, you go to the university, whatever. But the daily practice, the self-awareness of the one awareness of how those things apply to your life, to your daily life, to your routine, to your family, to your friends, to your enemies, if we can call that. So this is the learning process. This is what I'm learning. Okay, every day I have to think of something about what can I do to be a better person.
Yeah.
Quote, not better, but yeah.
That's really beautiful. And that goes back to Vedic stuff too, where a lot of times when you're telling people something, you're really talking to yourself. Like
Yes,
what
yes.
you just said, that is a very core reality that's actually
Yeah.
very present in all of us. And the other thing, Adriano, and I have to share that I really appreciate you sharing and being so humble, because humility is a really great asset. And ultimately, being able to be humble and to be able to acknowledge that I'm saying all this because it's true for everybody. I mean, I know it's true for me
Yes.
in many ways, but it's actually a very beautiful quality, and I appreciate you that sharing that. I think, Adriano, we are getting close to the end of this episode. So I would want to give you, the final talk here. We'll say goodbye to David as well, but I want you to promote the upcoming event that you've got, and I want to get any information out that we can to help promote you in your efforts.
Thank you very much. So what's happening? Amit Goswami, he's coming to Brazil. Okay, he lives in India, but in April, 17th to 21st of April, we organize a retreat near São Paulo. It's called São Roque, the city. It's very like 1 hour driving from São Paulo. It's a very beautiful place, very spiritual place also. Good food, everything's so good there. So it's a retreat where the idea is to get people in touch with quantum theory, with quantum worldview. So there's a lot of theory, a lot of mental work, but also a lot of experiential work. So it's a doobie-doobie-doo retreat, okay? It's not a silent retreat where you just meditate. It's not, so you doobie-doobie-doo there. You like learn a bit of quantum worldview, but do the meditations, do the process, meet people who are like in the same, how can I say, same vibe or in the same they're interested in the same thing, which is learning and developing. Okay, so it's a very beautiful event. It's not only Amit, there are 5 teachers in Quantum Academy. I am one of them. I teach Enneagram, but I'm also the, I don't know what you call. I mean, the one that answers the question. I just like a helper of Amit. I mean,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
someone needs, we do a lot of Q&A, and
Hmm.
I am the one that help people. I'm been studying that for like 17 years, so I feel myself a little bit. I'm not a physicist, I must mention, but I feel myself kind of knowledgeable to at least help to understand the basic concepts. And then there is Sunita Patani, a British psychotherapist who teaches EFT. There's Paula Bacelli, there is Valentino, a lot. So 5 teachers. The main one is Amit, but 5 teachers helping people to understand what this quantum worldview is and how to live them. Of course, we are not, as you say, we are humble enough to understand that you will not learn everything in 5 days. Okay, there's a lot to learn, but it's a very good way to get in touch with what we are talking about now, those 5 day retreats. And also in Sao Paulo on the 10th of May, there will be a big event with Amit, like for 700, 800 people. It's a 1 day workshop in a regular venue in São Paulo, not very beautiful, but like a good venue. And this is a cheaper event, of course. I mean, more affordable. It's just 1 day and a lot of people, so we can charge more affordable ticket. So also to get in touch with that, to be with Amit. And as you said, I will not say Amit is like the most enlightened person. He doesn't call himself like that. But I mean, being with someone that's so loving as Amit is, being in his presence, you know what I mean? Just like change you somehow. even in a small bit. So even if you don't get all the quantum concepts, even if you don't get everything, but you are like there. If you are present and sharing what I'm and getting what Amit has to share, which is mostly love, I would say. I mean, no,
Yeah.
nothing but love. That's it. Other things, but mostly that. Then it's amazing. It's huge. So yeah, I can give you the website, but it's easier. It's Quantum Academy in English. Quantumacademy.com.br. Okay, that's it, and everything is there.
Wow, that's beautiful. What a great show today. Adriano, with between me and David, you're always welcome to come back on. This format is really for people like yourself to share wisdom, knowledge, upcoming events, help promote you and your efforts. And David's got the Quantum Summit coming up February, or excuse me, the Hibernation Festival coming up February 21st to March 1st. It's going to be right out there. So hopefully, we can all collaborate together and you can be a part of that as well. David,
Perfect.
we hit our 1 hour mark. I want to throw it to you for a final last word, and then we'll call it a show.
Hey,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
go ahead,
Adriano.
Adriano. Go
No,
ahead.
because I have another meeting now. So can I say just goodbye and leave you to because
Yes,
I'm late for
Sure.
my meeting. So that's it.
Absolutely.
Thank you
I'll
very
just,
much.
I
thank
only
you so
have a
much.
minute. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, Adriano.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much for
much,
inviting
Adriano.
me. Hope to see you soon
You
again.
will.
Thank you
Okay,
very much. Bye
Take
bye.
care.
we'll wrap it up.
Bye
But
bye.
just in getting some closure to today's show, Sean, what we just discussed has got so much potential. It's ridiculous, really. He's right here. He has two events coming up in April and then in May. And the big one is in May, where, like he said, it's like 1,000 people. I think the one in April, they're trying to get about 200 or so. And it's expensive. I think it's like 5,000 US dollars for 5 days. So it's like $1,000, which in Brazil, that's like 6,000 reais, which we only charge 70 reais a night. So you see that having these events are lucrative, and him being a book publisher and also being involved with the art association is really very valuable for Hibernation Festival, because we can blend, like some literature, some books. I have a couple of authors and whatever. I don't know if they'll come here physically, but to do like a showing or screening, a book signing, or at least do like a 1 hour show live here. And also, when you mentioned that he could come on our show, keep in mind that there's going to be 24 windows a day, so he can have his own show, and
Yeah.
it's not like a commitment. I mean, if somebody's saying something in the peer-to-peer network is sending feedback to the administrative AI assistant, it's not going to last like that, Sean. That's the whole power that we have. It's on. The only way the system works is with 0 or 1. Either it's on or off. It doesn't work in the center. And so even like right now, with somebody as well versed as Adriano, you can hear in his voice, and you can analyze, not you and me, the words he's using are already sending a biosignature tone of, like he says, I don't know it. I don't know it all. I'm still learning. It's a journey and all of that. That's really not the truth. Like I just said, the truth is a 0 or 1. The journey and the story is really irrelevant, because the story is continually going every moment, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. We talked about that. At any moment, you have the power to change your surrounding. So, like right now, you don't have to wait. And see, when we are describing a more and more complexity into already a very confusing, chaotic, and controversial world, and we're not supplying that fixed point of 0.00 absolute, that's all necessary. Come to that point, and that's where you reboot. Even somebody like Adriano, even Amit Goswami himself, probably can benefit from knowing that simplicity of just surrender and let gravity take you from the fourth dimension, third, second, first, 0. And then when you're in nothing, the ocean of consciousness, allow yourself to go to the next point, which is in the center of nothing, which you could be in nothing for many, many, many lives. And we don't want like our spirits and stuff to be just not unified. We want everyone to come to point zero zero absolute and join hands and celebrate and just be so grateful. It's over. It's over. We've suffered long enough as human beings. And now we've shown that we can do it. We are inspired, but we're not told what to do. That's what I would say in my life. And from what I know about Sean and even Adrian, all of the people that I'm going to introduce have that common inspiration. It's not a search for really anything. It's just a unity. And with that unity, there's no more question. Really, it's enjoyment. So we can continue to have like this show could be this World Impact News and the Win Network, like an Oprah network or whatever, Dr. Phil or CNN, call it all of the above. It's an accumulation of everything that we have to offer. There's no limitation. It's flexible. Things come and go. People come and go. There's comments made that could be controversial, but those are addressed and administered immediately. They're not allowed to create any type of like gossip and rumors and false information and misleading advice and Machiavelli. Basically, the systems now are transparent, and that's really that. If you want to be perfectly healthy, perfectly wealthy, and express yourself perfectly, the only way you can do it is transparency. You cannot be authentic with any type of cloud or any type of color, like an alteration. It's not. It could be creative for you to do that stuff, but if you're not coming to your center, which is where everything comes from, you're still confused. I mean, you're going to be writing books, you're going to be a keynote speaker, you're going to be expanding your business and everything. But I mentioned before, and I'll kind of end here very shortly here, the Soul Phone with Dr. Gary Schwartz at the University of Arizona in Tucson. I don't know if you realize how important. Do you understand the importance of this technology, Sean? The Soul Phone technology?
Being able to reach back in the past and talk to all the greats and connect with Einstein and Tesla and all those?
Yeah, but I mean specifically Dr. Gary Schwartz, his actually tenure, his character, his soul contract, and what he does as a transformative scientist. And that's the key word. The technology that you have there is wonderful, but is it transformative? And in order to call yourself transformative, you have to scientifically prove it in clinical studies, and it has to be replicatable. You're not even talking a double slot test. You're talking gazillion slot test. I mean, whatever the slot is, you just, and Dr. Schwartz for this conversation would be the type of person that if we could get him involved with like the Hibernation Festival and many of the people, that's what I'm giving it all basically, Sean. And in working with Adriano, I'm hoping like when we get off the phone today, you send him a message. We need to motivate these people. Is it yes or is it no?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, are we one? Yes or no? Yes is one. Any other word than yes or hesitation is no. That's like that. Now, Adriano, the next conversation, that's what I ask. Are we one? And if we're one, there's no. I mean, it's a go, go, go. Let's go, boys and girls. Mm-hmm. Everyone get on the dance floor and dance and whatever, if you want to, or sit in the corner and cry about it. But you're not going to do that long because you're going to be.
I love Jesse with the Vibe Tribe. David, I might have to go here, but thank you, man, once again for another great episode. We will check in very soon and get more information on the Hibernation Festival. And from Richmond, Virginia, it's been another great show, man. Take care.
Thanks, Sean. Tomorrow, right. Same time, same channel, and we have Unitree and Zen shipping and Zen credits.
Zen credits. Yep, they'll be here tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
That's going to be a doozy. That's going to be a keeper. Thanks, Sean.
All right, take care. Have an awesome day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.